Okay, good morning. So yesterday we started discussion about compact operators. So if we have two Banach spaces, then we say that a linear operator is compact if the image of the unit ball, its closure is compact, right? So that we defined, and then we saw an example. Let us look at some general result about. So we have defined, we have given this notation that if we have right, so if x and y are Banach spaces, then we denote by b0 xy the set of all compact operators. So we would like to see what we can say about this set. So so we have denoted by b0 xy. This is set of all compact operators from x into y. So we know that this b0 xy is a subset of b of xy. So any compact operator is a bounded linear operator. Um, we can easily see that this is also a subspace of b of xy. So that is the first result. B0 xy is a subspace of b of xy. So this is easy to prove. So suppose we have any two compact operators. So let T1 and T2 be compact operators from x to y, and let alpha 1 alpha 2 be scalars. Then we have to show that alpha 1 T1 plus alpha 2 T2, it is also a compact operator. So to show alpha 1 T1 plus alpha 2 T2, this belong to B0 XY. So for this, it is enough to show that the if we take a sequence in the unit ball, then its image has a convergent subsequence. So if we look at any sequence, so let xn be a sequence in the unit ball of x. This is all x in x such that norm x less than equal to 1. Then because T1 is compact, we know that since T1 is compact, there exists a subsequence xnk of xn such that T1 xnk, this sequence is convergent. And similarly, we have a subsequence such that T2 of that is also convergent. So then if we look at so now we can take a subsequence of this xnk such that T2 of that is convergent. So now I'll take a subsequence of this subsequence such that T2 of x and kl, this is convergent. Then if I look at alpha 1 T1 of this x and kl, let me write like this: alpha 1 T1 plus alpha 2 T2 of x and kl. This will converge to, so let's say that T1 of x and k is convergent to some y1, and this is convergent to some y2. These are in y. Then alpha 1 T1 of x and kl will also converge to y1, and the alpha T1 of x and kl converges to y1, and T2 of x and kl converges to y2. So this will converge to alpha 1 y1 plus alpha 2 y2. So this implies that there is a convergent subsequence of alpha 1 T1 plus alpha 2 T2 of x and k. So this alpha 1 T1 plus alpha 2 T2 of xn has a convergent subsequence. This implies that this is compact. So this is easy to see that this is a subspace. Another thing is that suppose we have T is a compact operator from say x to y, and suppose I take A be any bounded linear operator from y to z, and B is some bounded linear operator from some say w to x. So then if we look at the composition, so T is an operator from x to y. If I compose this with this operator A from y to z, we get AT. So A2 AT is an operator from x to z. So clearly this is a bounded linear operator, but if T is compact, then this is compact. And similarly, if I take TB, so B is an operator from W to X and T is from X to Y. So TB will be an operator from W to Y. So this is also compact. So actually these two results says that the compact operator is in fact an ideal of B of xy. It is a subspace and also it is left and right ideal. So if you have seen ideal in algebra course, so that means that it is a subset of ring which is a subspace under addition, and if you take any element of the ideal and multiply it to the left or right by an element of the ring, then it should be in that ideal itself. So that is what this result is saying, and the proof is again easy. It just follows from the definition. So So let's try to prove that AT is a compact operator. So if so again for this, either you can show that the closure of the unit ball is compact, or you can use the sequential criteria. So let's use the sequential criteria. So let xn be a sequence in B of x, then Txn has a convergent subsequence. So say Txnk, which converges to some y in y. So then now because A is a bounded linear operator from y to z, so since A from y to z is continuous, it is a bounded linear operator, so it is continuous. So what can we say about A of Txnk? This will converge to A of y. A of y is in z. So this is AT of xnk. So this says that uh, AT of this sequence xn has a convergent subsequence. Therefore, AT of xn has a convergent subsequence, which implies that AT is compact. And similarly, the other one, T times B. So if we take any sequence in W, any bounded sequence in W, then we have to show that TB of that will be a convergent subsequence. So for the second part, if xn let's not use xn, so let me say wn is a sequence in, we can just take any bounded sequence in W, then B of Wn is a bounded sequence in X, since B is a bounded operator. Right, because norm of BWN will be less than equal to norm B times norm WN. So if WN is a bounded sequence, its image will be a bounded sequence. And now we have a bounded sequence in X, and T is a compact operator. So it uh, takes if you have any bounded sequence, then its image will have a conversion subsequence. Since T belong to B0 of XY, T of BWN has a convergence subsequence. But this again implies that TB is compact. Another thing is that we will show that if we we will show that this is a B0 of XY is a closed subspace of BXY. So that means that if I have a sequence of compact operators which converges to a bounded linear operator, then the limit also has to be compact. So the next one is to let Tn be a sequence in B0 of XY and let T belong to B of XY such that norm of Tn minus T, this goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. So that means that uh, this Tn converges to T in this space B of XY, right? So, so then T is also compact. So the proof of this okay. So let us take. We want to prove that T is a compact operator. So for that we have to show that the image of the unit ball under T is relatively compact in Y. So that means that so let us take the unit ball. So let B be the closed unit ball of X. So to show that T is compact, it is enough to show that is enough to show that T of B is totally bounded. And you can prove this result using the sequential criteria also, but let me try to prove it using this totally boundedness. So, because this we have seen that once you prove that TB is totally bounded, then its closure is also totally bounded, and TB closure will then be a complete and totally bounded, and therefore it has to be compact. Right? So it is enough to show that the image of the unit ball is totally bounded. So for that we have to show that this can be covered by finite number of any epsilon balls. So let us start with any epsilon. So let epsilon greater than 0 be given. Then let's first use that this norm of Tn minus T goes to 0. We choose let's take this n naught such that norm of Tn naught minus T is less than epsilon by 3. So in fact, we can choose this n naught such that this is true for all n bigger than equal to n naught. So we are just choosing the one n naught such that this norm is less than epsilon by 3. This can be done because norm of Tn minus T goes to 0. So now we will use this Tn naught and use the compactness of this. So now since Tn naught is compact, we can find finitely many vectors. So there exists x1, x2 up to some say xm belonging to this unit ball B such that Tn naught of B is contained in the union of this j equal to 1 to m of we look at Tn naught of this xj and epsilon by 3. So we are using that Tn naught is compact, therefore Tn naught of B is totally bounded. So that means that for this epsilon by 3, I can find finitely many balls of radius epsilon by 3 with center in this Tn naught B. So that gives me this x1, x2, xm such that Tn naught of xj, the ball of radius epsilon by 3 at this center, that will cover this Tn naught B. So now we want to show that T of B is totally bounded. So for that we have to show that T of B is contained in union of. So what we claim is that then T of B is contained in union j equal to 1 to m of the ball centered at Txj and radius epsilon. this will prove that T of B is totally bounded. So to show this, we take any point of T of B. So let x belongs to B. That means that norm x is less than equal to 1. And then we look at what is T of xj minus T of x. Now, so okay, let me first yeah. So if we take x in B, then what we know is that T and not of B is contained in the union of these balls of radius epsilon by 3. So therefore, we can find the sum j between 1 and m such that T and not of this. So let me write. So then there exists j belonging to 1 to m such that T and not of this xj minus T and not of x, this norm is less than epsilon by 3. Right, because T and not of x, this is epsilon by 3. Because T and not of B is contained in this, so I'm taking x from B, so T and not of x is in this union. So there is some j such that T and not of x belongs to this ball of radius epsilon by 3 centered at T and not xj. So that is what I am writing, that T and not of xj minus T and not of x, this norm is less than epsilon by 3. So now for this j, if we look at T of xj minus T of x, this will be less than equal to T of xj minus T and not of xj plus T and not xj minus T and not of x and plus T and not of x minus T of x. This is by triangle inequality. I write like this. Now T of xj minus T and not of xj, this first term will be less than equal to norm of T minus T and not times norm xj, and then the other one is T n naught of xj minus T n naught of x, that we know is less than epsilon by 3, and the other one is again norm of T n naught minus T times norm x, and we know that norm of T n naught minus T, that is less than epsilon by 3. We chose this n naught such that this is true. So this is less than epsilon by 3. Norm of xj is in the unit ball, so norm of xj is less than equal to 1, norm of x is also less than equal to 1. So this will give epsilon by 3 plus epsilon by 3 plus epsilon by 3, which is epsilon. So, so this implies that T of x belongs to the union of ball of radius epsilon centered at Txj. So hence the claim is true. So we have proved these three theorems. One is that I have shown that this is a subspace of Bxy, and the third one says that it is a closed subset. So if I take a sequence of compact operator which converges to some bounded linear operator, then that operator is the limit operator is also compact. And the second theorem, it shows that this is an ideal. So we can summarize these and write. From the previous three theorems, we can write in as one result. We conclude that this B0 of xy is a closed ideal of the space Bxy. Right? Because Bxy is not just a vector space. So we have multiplication also there. So oh, this is actually an algebra, and this B0xy is a closed ideal of that. Okay.
So when we define like ideals for general rings, we like only have like in a normal ring we only have the addition and multiplication of ring elements, but here
Right.
we also multiplication with scalars. So like since it's an algebra also, so and here we have also seen that it's satisfying the fact that alpha t1 plus beta t2 is
Right.
also
Right. Right.
like a compact bounded operator. So, like, does this have like when we say it's an ideal, does it refer to the subspace property and the usual ideal property of rings combined because it's an algebra, or it's just that ideal
Yeah, yeah,
property?
because here it is an algebra. If you talk about ideal in ring, then there is no scalar multiplication there, right? So it's only like under the addition, it is a subgroup, and it is closed under multiplication by the ring element, right?
Right.
But here actually we are saying ideal of this algebra. So maybe I'll write of the
Okay. So, like the word ideal in an algebra will also encompass the subspace condition.
subspace, right? Vector subspace also.
Okay. Like, and just one more question is that
Yeah.
the scalar multiplication here can also be considered as a matrix multiplication with alpha times identity. Uh, and so if we wanted to show the subspace, like if we wanted to show just the scalar multiplication condition, can we encompass it through this thing also? Like alpha times identity is compact. So, and if we show that if A and B are compact, then AB is compact. So, this scalar multiplication maybe it will fall into ring multiplication also.
You are saying okay, alpha times t, I can write
Identity
as
of
the alpha times the identity operator, and yeah, so alpha times the identity operator, that is a bounded linear operator, and then by this multiplication property, we know that that has to be there, right? Right.
but addition anyways we'll have to show. So there you showed addition and scalar multiplication
Yeah,
together.
yeah, right. Okay, so next thing is okay. So one thing is that by this theorem 3 that we have done, we see that the limit of a sequence of compact operator is compact, right? So in particular, if I take a sequence of finite rank operator which converges to an operator T, then T is compact, right? So we are saying that the limit of a sequence of finite rank operator that is compact. So the next question is that is it true that uh, if I take any compact operator, can I write it as a limit of a sequence of finite rank operators? Right? So that in general is not true in any Banach space, but we will show that if we are in Hilbert space, then that is true. So, and then we will show that uh, T compact that is equivalent to the adjoint T star is compact in Hilbert space. I mean that is true in Banach space also, but we did not talk about adjoint of an operator in Banach space. So in Banach space also adjoint is defined, but there like if you have a bounded linear operator from x to y, then the adjoint T star is defined from the dual y star to x star. Right? So in the Hilbert space case, that is in some sense equivalent to the adjoint that we have defined, because the dual of a Hilbert space is isomorphic to H itself, and therefore the adjoint that we have defined and the Banach space adjoint, uh, they are in some sense the same, right? So what I want to do next is mm, so let me just write this corollary that I said to this theorem. So corollary. So if Tn belong to B00xy, so this is the notation for finite rank. So that is Tn is a finite rank operator. So in fact, this notation is for the bounded finite rank operator, right? So maybe I should write that because some people define finite rank operator as just that the range space is finite dimensional. That does not imply that the operator is bounded. So a linear operator whose range is finite dimensional, and some author they say finite by finite rank operator they assume that it is also a bounded linear operator. So to be clear, let me write that this is a bounded finite rank operator. So if Tn is a bounded finite rank operator for n in n and T belongs to Bxy. Actually, this again T is bounded, that will follow if I just assume that norm Tn minus T goes to 0. But still I'm writing that T belong to Bxy such that norm of Tn minus T goes to 0, then T is compact. So this is because simply because this B0, 0, the finite rank operator is always compact. So the question is that is it true that every compact operator is limit of finite rank operator? So I'll write this as a question. So given any T belonging to B0 of xy, does there exist a sequence of finite rank operators Tn B00xy such that norm of Tn minus T goes to 0. So what we'll show is that if am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it was showing that some bad network quality. So let me just say that in general this is not true. For Banach spaces. However, we will show that if Y is a Hilbert space, the range space that we are assuming that it is a Hilbert space, then the result is true. More generally, I mean, it is true if Y has a Schroeder basis. So I'll just write that, but we will prove it for a Hilbert space. Y has a Schroeder basis. Okay, so let me write the result. Let me use V and W. So let V be a Banach space. And let W be a Hilbert space. And let T be a compact operator. So T is in B0 of VW. So then there exists a sequence Tn in B00 VW such that norm of Tn minus T goes to 0. So this shows that any compact operator can be approximated by finite rank operators provided this image space is a Hilbert space. I mean, in particular, we will use this result later when T is a bounded linear operator on a Hilbert space H. Right. So if it is from H to H, then we can do this. And you will see that where we are using this thing being a Hilbert space, so we will use the projection operator for that. So the proof of this. So given this T, we have to find the sequence Tn, right? So what we do is right. So let B be the closed unit ball of V. So then we use that T is compact. So since T from V to W is compact, the closure of T of B, this is compact, and hence it is separable. So any compact topological space is separable. That means that it has the accountable dense subset. So we are using that fact here. Since this is compact, it is separable, and then this is now a separable subspace of this Hilbert space W. Right. So for a separable Hilbert space, we know that we can find an orthonormal basis, countable orthonormal basis. So therefore, yeah. So Therefore, this let's write so W we are writing maybe I'll write H equal to the closure of image T. This is a separable subspace of the Hilbert space W. So we are writing, so because TB closure is separable, therefore the image of T closure, this is also separable. So now we will use a countable orthonormal basis for this space. So let E1, E2, so on be an orthonormal basis for H, and let Pn be the orthogonal projection of H onto the span of E1, E2 up to En. So we are looking at the orthogonal projection onto this finite dimensional subspace spanned by E1, E2, En. So we know how to define this orthogonal projection, right? So for any x, Pn of x, so let me recall that for x in this is not H, this is from Pn is the orthogonal projection of this W to the span of this, right? So for any W belonging to capital W, Pn of W is simply the summation of j equal to 1 to n of W inner product with Ej times Ej. So that is how the orthogonal projection is defined. You take the projection onto this subspace spanned by E1, E2, En. So then what do we know? So now we will define Tn. Let Tn is equal to Pn composed with T. So T is this compact operator from V to W, and then we are composing it with the orthogonal projection from W to this finite dimensional space. So then clearly this Tn is a finite rank operator. This is defined for every n. Then Tn belongs to B00 VW.
So how do
And
we show it is separable?
sorry,
How do we know it is separable?
which one is separable?
Uh, so TB bar you said is compact and is hence separable as well.
Right.
Uh, uh, how is that? Like I didn't like. Is it a
So,
some from
yeah, that is general result for topological space, right? If any space is compact, then it has to be separable.
Okay, 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 okay.
In any, I mean, if you assume here it is also a metric space, so compact metric space, it has to be separable.
Okay.
More generally, a compact Hausdorff space is separable, right? So, oh, we are using that general result of topology. So that again is not very difficult thing to prove, but I don't want to get into that. So you can look at that compact implies separability. Okay, so
And sir, from that, how it implies that image T bar is separable?
sorry, your voice was not clear. Can you say again?
Sir, then why closure of image T is separable?
That is a good question. So what I am saying here that the closure of the image of unit ball is separable, and then I am claiming that that implies that the closure of image T is also separable, right? So what you have to do is simply if you have any say x in V, then you are looking at T of x, right? So T of x, if you divide x by norm x, then that becomes a vector in the unit ball, and then you use the countable dense subset for this thing, and then from that you can get that a countable dense subset for the whole of this image T closure also. Right. So this maybe I'll write as an exercise. You can try to prove this. So this follows from the above thing. That is what I am claiming. Okay. So now I want to show that this thing is true. So claim is norm of Tn minus T. This goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. So first let's take any anything in V. So let x belongs to V. Then if we look at the image T of x, this is in my space H, right? So T of x is in the Hilbert space H, and Pn is the orthogonal projection onto this. So then if we look at this Pn of Tx minus Tx, this goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. right? Because this Pn of W we are writing as this summation j equal to 1 to n of W ej, and as n goes to infinity, this thing converges to summation of j equal to 1 to infinity of W ej, which is nothing but W. So this Pn of W minus W, if you take that, goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. So we are using that. So Pn of Tx minus Tx. Maybe let me write this as some W so that it will be clear. So therefore, Pn W minus W, this norm goes to 0 as n goes to infinity. That is Pn of T of x minus Tx. This goes to 0. So this is same thing as Tn x minus Tx. This is going to 0 as n goes to infinity. What we have to show is that norm of Tn minus T goes to 0. So we have to use the compactness of T. Now since T is compact, given any epsilon positive, there exists x1, x2 up to some xm in B such that T of B is contained in the union of T ball Txj epsilon by 3. So this is just like we did before, that this T of B is totally bounded, so we can do this. So therefore, if x is any element such that x in V such that norm x is less than equal to 1, then there exists J such that T of x minus T of xj, this norm is less than epsilon by 3. Now if we look at T of x minus Tn of x, this we write less than equal to Tx minus T of xj plus Txj minus Tn of xj plus Tn of xj minus Tn of x. And then this is less than equal to, the first one is less than equal to Tx minus Txj is less than equal to epsilon by 3. And the second one is Txj minus Tnxj. So yeah, we know that Tn of x minus Tx, this goes to 0. So and then we have Tn of xj minus Tn of x. Right. So let me write this as Tn xj minus T of xj and plus the third term Tn of xj minus Tn of x. Tn is Pn composed with T. So that is Pn of T of xj minus T of x. Right? We are just using that Tn is Pnt, so we get this. And norm of Pn, this is projection operator, it has norm 1. So this will be less than equal to norm of Txj minus Tx. So that is again less than epsilon. So this term is less than norm of Txj minus Tx, which is less than epsilon by 3. So therefore, norm of Tx minus Tn of x, this is less than equal to 2 epsilon by 3 plus this term in the middle, which was Tn of xj minus T of xj. Now what we have shown here that Tn of x minus Tx, this goes to 0 for every x. So in particular for this x1, x2, xm, this will be true. So we can find, because these are finitely many, so we can find such that this is true for all of these. So since Tn of x minus, maybe I'll write for xj. So Tn of xj minus T of xj. This goes to 0 as n goes to infinity for every j. There exists some n naught. We have not used n naught yet. Right? So there exists some n naught such that T n naught of xj minus T of xj. This is less than epsilon by 3 for all j equal to 1 to up to m. Right, so here this n naught is independent of j, because for every j we can choose some number and then we can take the maximum of this. These are only finitely many, so we can do this. So therefore we will get that norm of Tx minus Tn of x, this is less than epsilon, and this was true for any x in the unit ball. Right, so for any x in the unit ball, we have shown that this is less than epsilon. So this is true for every x belonging to the unit ball. So this implies that norm of Tn minus T is less than epsilon. So therefore this goes to 0. And this is true for this Tn naught. So for any epsilon, we have shown that norm of Tn naught minus T can be made less than epsilon for some n naught, and therefore this goes to 0. So this finishes the proof. Sorry, I took more time. So I'll stop here. So in the next class, we'll see that using this, we can easily prove that if T is a bounded linear operator on a Hilbert space, then T compact is equivalent to T star being compact. Okay, I'll stop here.